in response to the Reform UK's by-election win in Runcorn and a string of council elections going Reform's way, I think Labour are finally starting to wake up and realise that this old immigration issue ain't going anywhere. And so, to that end, Labour this week are going to be bringing out a new plan. Now, it's not a comprehensive plan because Labour wants this migration. So what they're going to do, they're going to dangle a few carrots this week and they're going to come out with a new plan after they've had a good chinwag with each other and they've smashed their heads together, and they're going to release a few key points. So we're going to cover those points today, but also we're going to watch a clip from a gentleman called Alp Mennett, and he is the chairman of Migration Watch UK. He really puts things in a very, very clear and transparent way. So we'll watch Alp first of all and we'll see what he's got to say, and then we'll cover what Labour are trying to do in a little bit of depth. So here's the chairman of Migration Watch UK, straight from the horse's mouth, as it were.
I don't know how many numbers we have to have, how many more people we have to have before someone somewhere is going to scream, this is a national emergency, because it clearly is.
It is a national emergency, and it's been one for some time. How many more numbers? All I can guarantee you is that we're going to hit records year after year after year unless we can show and send the message that coming here illegally won't work. And you and Ryan have covered a lot of the ground there, or what needs to be done. But the fact is that at the moment, everything that this government is doing is not far from deterring anyone, is actually encouraging them to come here. There's more people in hotels probably now, even though the number of hotels being used may have gone down. And notice that the government hasn't actually said there are fewer people in hotels. Well, they're using bigger hotels maybe, I don't know. But I should also be wary about them saying we are using fewer hotels, so it's costing less. Because what's happening then is that they're shunting them off onto local authorities, where legally the local authorities are obliged to house those asylum seekers that are pushed in their direction, because the law says so. If you're destitute and you tick that little box saying I'm destitute, then I'm afraid that the local authority that has the responsibility, handed from the Home Office, will find accommodation for you. And it's a nonsense, really, that they are providing these sort of amenities and these sort of comforts for people who ultimately are looking to break into the country. Many of them, frankly, will never go back because we won't send them back. Some of those who come from countries who are prepared to take their nationals back and are regarded as safe may go back, but there are going to be more and more people coming over. This year, I was saying earlier in the year that we're likely to hit 50,000. Already, I think we're moving beyond that. And that's only those that we know about.
Sure.
There's probably going to be between 60 and 70,000 coming here, taking into account of those who get in one way or another without our being aware of it. Sorry, I've said a lot.
Yeah, no, and you've said it beautifully. It's again the frustration that I think everybody feels on this. I'm going to keep making the point, Alp, that it doesn't matter whether you're left wing or right wing. Everyone can agree, surely, this is unacceptable. The question we are left with is, as the Labour government said they're going to stop using some of these hotels, this particular hotel group, their contract runs out, I think, in the autumn, around about September. Doubtless it will be renewed to some, maybe to a lesser degree, because you've got to find somewhere to put 40,000 people.
Yeah, indeed. You do have to, and that's what I say about shunting them off onto local authorities. But look, perhaps we should be looking at the problem sort of further afield. You mentioned earlier when talking to Ryan, that there are two sets of border forces, two sets of home secretaries and the rest of it. Actually, it's a lot more than that, because this problem starts at the external borders of the EU. There are hundreds of thousands making their way into the EU illegally every year. A lot of them will then make their way up to the northwest coast of France and make their way over in boats. They'll make their way over in boats because it works. They concoct a story which our courts, really, rather than questioning, make it the responsibility of the Home Office to prove or disprove whatever the story is. I mean, that's a nonsense. And I'm afraid until we detain those who arrive, deal with them quickly, and then remove them, then they will continue to come. And the government messed up. It fluffed its lines when it came to the opportunity of doing something about it with the bill that is now going through Parliament. I mean, that bill, if anything, is going to encourage people to come, as I keep saying, because there's nothing in it that requires the government to remove or return those who arrive illegally. Nothing. Yeah. It's a total waste of time. The government is flailing, and it finds now that all the flannel during the election, smashing the gangs and closing the hotels, it won't wash anymore, I'm afraid. Yeah. They've got to get real about it.
When I see those small boats hitting our shores, it bugs me. And the reason it bugs me is relatively straightforward. People breaking the law, wanting to come to this country, and the very first act that they do upon entering our country is to break the law, are using up huge swathes of taxpayers' money. Billions of pounds every year are going onto this, while, the winter fuel allowance was taken away from pensioners, who, some of whom, may have even fought in the war. I mean, think about that with all the VE Day celebrations going on. It's quite unbelievable when you think of it in those terms. The fact that people arriving here illegally should be given preferential treatment in terms of money, healthcare, housing, interpreters, clothing, all the rest of the plethora of services that's required in order to keep these people going, many of whom are never going to work, or speak English, and many of whom may want to bring family members here. And so the depth of anger and resentment in society is growing. It's certainly growing within me, the resentment. I deeply resent having to pay taxes to keep those people. I deeply resent having to pay my taxes to keep foreign criminals in jail who've committed heinous acts of either a violent or sexual nature. And this resentment is growing amongst the public, and these politicians here are creating a pressure cooker. It's without doubt they are creating this, and the politicians are to blame. Now, unless the Labour Party gets a grip on small boats and they stop the flow of these small boats coming over here, they're going to have a problem on their hands, potentially before the next election. It's a very excitable atmosphere we're in at the moment. Everybody's annoyed, and it's ramping up week after week, as is the amount of arrivals that are coming here week after week after week. So, what in this atmosphere is the Labour plan? What's Labour going to come up with this week? Labour are going to be announcing their new immigration bill. That's the government's bill, but also they're going to be coming up with a set of principles. So here's what Labour are expected to say. Number one, that work visas will be strictly time limited for jobs that don't need graduate level skills. Okay. Foreign students who have studied for degrees here could lose the right to stay in the UK after they finish at university. Okay. Overseas workers will be expected to have a better understanding of English, and companies who repeatedly can't show efforts to recruit UK-based staff rather than hunt abroad might lose their right to sponsor foreign workers to come here at all. Now, they're also looking at some proposals designed to change how judges apply what's known as Article 8 of the Human Rights Act. However, as it's been discussed by some Tories already, there's other articles within that, like Article 3, that can be used. So those are what the Labour Party are coming up with. And they are completely out of their minds and out of touch. The Labour Party here, in their tone-deaf approach to what's happening in this country, particularly with the small boats, it's unbelievable to me. It's unbelievable that they should allow this situation to escalate to the place that it's actually arrived at. What can be their excuse? Well, there's no excuse for this. None. The Labour Party, in conjunction with the rest of the parties, as I've said prior to when they come in, have systematically encouraged immigration into the United Kingdom. And it doesn't matter what the Labour Party come up with. It doesn't matter what Kemi Badenoch comes up with. It doesn't matter all of these clever little things, because it's a funny thing. People aren't moaning about foreign students in universities. I'm sure that's a problem, but we're not really talking about that, are we? I don't know where this is going to go, but they have to get a grip of the small boats. Without that, public anger is going to grow. And it's not even going to be mentioned this week. They're completely out of touch, this Labour Party. Anyway, thanks very much for your time.